The Dallas Stars have come so close to hockey's ultimate prize. But what's it going to take to get over the hump next season? Today, we're breaking down the potential X factors that can make or break the Stars' Stanley Cup hopes.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Today is a crossover episode of Locked On Stars with Gavin Spittle of Spits and Suds. We had a lot of fun recording this episode. We decided not to talk about Jason Robertson, Mikko Rantanen, Jake Ottinger, or any some of that controversial stuff. We talked about X factors for next season. Who are some potential players, even some outside factors like schedule, like coaching staff that could impact this next season for the Dallas Stars. And we'd love to hear your feedback as well in the comments below. Let me know your potential X factors for the Dallas Stars next season. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of intriguing answers. So without further ado, here is this crossover edition of Locked On Stars and Spits and Suds.
And welcome to another off-season edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan, and today we're excited to say a simulcast edition off-season of Spits and Suds, because joining us from the greatness of the Locked On Stars podcast is Joey Erickson. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right, Gavin. I appreciate you having me on. I'll be honest, I'm enjoying being a bum for the next few weeks. And then I got to report back down to Corpus Christi, and the Ice Rays are getting into training camp and all that good stuff. So looking forward to that, but also enjoying just being lazy at home with the parents.
Well, it's great because one of the things that they said about your podcast and my podcast, we just don't do podcasts just to do them. And this subject has been kind of lingering since the end of free agency with me. Now that essentially the team is in place, we're asking the question, what X factors will make a difference in the upcoming Dallas Stars season? And for those listening at home, what I mean by X factor is something that has not happened. Like, for instance, Joey, if Mikko Rantanen is at a 100-point mark, that's amazing. And that's why Jim Nill paid the price he did, $12 million a year, to get that elite player. If Jake Ottinger has a career year, finishes top 3 in the Vezina race, once again, amazing. And he took a step in the right direction. But those will be serious contributions. But I don't want to say they're expected, but there is a high level of expectance with those two players. To me, as X factor can mean a career year or something, an adjustment that the Stars made that maybe we didn't necessarily see. So I put together a few X factors and wanted to get your thoughts on that. X factor number 1, the 20 goal club. And the reason I put this as X factor number 1, you had Mason Marchment, who went to Seattle he had 22 goals. And we all agree that they needed to make some salary room. Evgeny Dadonov had 20 goals, and he was consistently a 20-goal guy. Mikhail Granlund certainly was big in the playoffs, combined between San Jose and Dallas. He had 22. So there's certainly a void at the forward position. And I wanted to get your overall thoughts on those departures first, as far as the 20-goal club.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Stars roster currently, they have lost some juice in terms of goal scoring, especially that left side. It's really Jason Robertson, and then you have sort of a cast of characters you're hoping can maybe have career seasons or chip in offensively. When you look at Jamie Benn, of course, he's another year older, and we saw in the playoffs just a few months ago, he was sort of pigeonholed into a bottom 6 role. So is he going to get that opportunity to continue to play with a Wyatt Johnston? Is he going to continue get to play with some top 6 talent where he's going to get some of those opportunities and the power play number one? He only had 1 power play goal last regular season, which I think is mind blowing. Just 1 for Jamie Benn. And I know there's been some other players and other guys that have stepped up and taken over some of those roles. Oscar Beck, of course, Sam Steele. Can those be players that could potentially join that 20 goal club? I think Sam Steele would of course probably be the choice there over Oscar Beck, just because Steele may get an opportunity to play higher up in the lineup. And yeah, Mason Marchment, basically some of these guys that are really cap casualties with Dadonov. You have to find ways to replace him. And I guess that would sort of lead me to this X factor for the Stars next season. And that would be Mavrik Bourque.
Yeah.
Can he be the guy that joins that 20 goal club? And can he play center? Because there could potentially be an opportunity. Maybe they want to move Johnston to the wing up top. Maybe they want to play him with Rantanen and Rope Hance. Maybe drop Robo down to play with Duchesne and Sagan. Can Bourque be that player that has, 60 point season, chips in 20 goals, and can be that third line center or just a really productive third line winger? And they're thinking, okay, now the Stars still have some of that depth that we've talked about, so endearingly over the last couple seasons, just because I think I've said all the time, maybe the expectations were too high for Bourque last season. I was somebody like, oh, he's just going to burst onto the scene. He's going to have that Stankoven type impact. And it just never quite worked out, but he still played in 73 games. And I'm sure you've talked about this with Sean Shapiro, who's covered Bourque. He's in that area. Bourque's always taken sort of a year to get a new league, a new program, maybe new routine under his belt, and then he pops off the next year. I think Mavrik Bourque could be that guy for Dallas who can kind of join that 20 goal club. And I mean, even the year before that, what did the Stars have? 9 guys, maybe it was 8 guys that had 20 goals. It's just like they can get scoring for everywhere. It's hard to replicate, of course. That's not the norm for a lot of teams, but the Stars have done that really, really well recently. I think Bourque is sort of probably a prime candidate to maybe join that group for next season.
So you nailed a lot of the guys that I had. Let's go back to Jamie Benn. Can he be a 20 goal scorer? Just 1 goal in 3 playoff series. When you look at time on ice from series to series, the captain went from about 14, 16 minutes a night to between 9 and 12 minutes. He was essentially fourth liner at that point. So even, Joey, when you go back to January 1st through the rest of the regular season, Ben only had 8 goals in 44 games. So this drought of goals by the captain has been happening for a while. Left wing has a major void right now. So Jamie Benn's either going to play on the second or third line. He needs to get back up to the 20 goal mark. And then you nailed it with Mavrik Bourque as far as it takes time sometimes. And we saw the AHL development of Mavrik Bourque, where in his rookie AHL campaign, he really didn't come on until after the AHL All-Star break. He netted 11 goals, wasn't that factor that we all thought he might be. But we also have to understand the learning curve and what's going to be interesting, new coaching staff. This is going to be the year that Mavrik Bourque, I think, proves it, or we start to question. He is in a contract year, still be protected by the Stars. So that is going to be interesting. He's a restricted free agent, but I think he definitely has that potential to be that 20 goal guy. And then when you go to Sam Steele, that's fascinating because Sam Steele really reminds me of Stu Barnes. If Stars fans can remember what Stu Barnes brought to the table,
like that.
Just kind of, a utility knife guy that, some nights you're going to be like, wow, Sam Steele really made this play that might not necessarily show up on the stat sheet. What I'm interested in is a combo platter for that 20 goal, because the most goals Sam Steele had in a year, his career best is 10 goals in 22-23 with the Minnesota Wild. So I'm wondering, as an X factor, a combo of Steele and Colin Blackwell maybe to net you. And let's just say Radek Faksa throws in 6 or 7. So that might be the factor. And one guy maybe we haven't talked about, is Tyler Seguin.
Boom.
And it's kind of weird when we talk about the 24 club and Tyler Seguin's, now that, but we certainly saw, is the speed still there? Probably not due to the injuries, but those legs and confidence grew as the Stars went deeper in the playoffs. The reason I have him as an X factor is, can he stay healthy? But the last time he played a full season, 81 games, 21-22, he bucketed 20 that year. 10 times in his career, he's had 20. So that might be a player that steps up that you really haven't had in the last couple of years.
Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. You can find areas in your personal investments or even your personal life where you can dial back. Maybe it's spending out to eat. Maybe it's going out to be entertained, whether that's the movies. Maybe you're bored and you're like, I can spend a little less here. And then you can use Monarch Money to help you out. It's a financial command center. That way you stay on track with yourself, with your significant other. You can plan that big trip you've always wanted to go on with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with the Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Yeah, and last year I think Seguin could have had 20 maybe before January 1st. The way he was rolling, it did 9 goals in those first 20 games, and that line was just cooking. That's another thing. That line's gone now, which is one of the better lines for Dallas over the last couple of years, with Marchment being traded to Seattle. And I think if you pencil in Seguin for at least 70 games, I have a really good feeling he's going to hit 20 goals, probably easily. He's been able to adapt more than Jamie Benn, I would say. He's just been able to adapt as he's gotten older. Maybe that's just because the style of game he played. He didn't always overly rely on his speed, although it was a big part of his game. But he just has a knack now, and he sort of has almost grown into that Joe Pavelski role. It's like, I'm going to hang around the net a bit more. I'm going to be that net front guy on the power play as well. Try to get deflections and score more goals in around the blue paint instead of just absolutely destroying goaltenders from the right circle on the power play like he did for a few seasons in the early part of his career with Dallas. Steele is just fascinating. I love him so much. Yeah. I think he's just such a damn good player. It's almost actually mind-boggling. He's only at 10 goals as a career high. I just feel like he has a potential to do that. I feel like he has a potential to at least get 15. I could see him getting 20 himself if he was put into a role where he could thrive. That's probably not going to happen for Dallas. It's probably unrealistic. Right. But I mean, even 15, I feel like could be realistic. And who knows, maybe Glenn Goldson sees him as a guy that can be elevated in a lineup a bit more. Maybe get some more opportunity to get some of the opportunities to score, right? Instead of just, being, a PK guy and take some of those roles. Of course, he's not going to get on the power play, but him and Blackwell, I think they could easily combine for at least 20 goals, at least have that potential, and you'll feel really good. But Seguin is one, a full season of Seguin. I just feel like can almost pencil him in for 20 just because he sort of has that knack. Like he's kind of a goal scorer. And as long as the Stars continue to support him with guys like Duchesne that can create and make plays with the puck on their stick, it's not really Seguin's strong suit anymore. He needs to be away from the puck, find some of those scoring areas. And I talked about this recently, just looking at the Stars, depth, just looking at the roster. If you go back to opening night a season ago, I think there's a real strong argument it's better than it was last year at opening night, because you got Mikko and that guy that can kind of be your superstar. Now you're gonna ask some more out of some of your bottom six, but there is a potential for the Stars to, I would say, not have a huge digression in terms of goals scored. Because under Pete DeBoer, they were like top 5 pretty much every year in terms of just amount of goals they scored. I don't think I don't think they have to have this huge regression now that they've maybe offloaded some players that join that 20 goal club, as you mentioned, just because there is opportunity for some guys to elevate in their line and just improve their own games. And I think, again, Mavrik Bourque kind of hits the nail on the head there. Like, that's a guy that could hopefully potentially pop off. Otherwise, maybe we all got a little too excited about what Bourque could potentially be.
Yeah. The second factor that I have is we're going over X factors, and this could be a combination of 3 players. Who is going to fill that second pairing? Obviously, we know the top 2 pairs will include the 3 out of 4, Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley, and Esa Lindell. Who is the 4th that's going to be interesting? And you have Nils Lundkvist, Liam Bichsel, and Ilya Lyubushkin. And for those wondering, left shot, right shot.
Yeah.
Lyubushkin and Lundkvist are both right shots. Lyubushkin was tried last year. Interesting note, Joey, on Lyubushkin. I am fascinated to see where he falls because we were so down on Ryan Suter when he was a first pairing with Miro Heiskanen, but we quickly forget that final year of Ryan Suter. I think he wore down in the playoffs. I thought he had a really good year as a third pairing D-man.
I'm there with you. Yeah.
And therefore, it's an expensive third pairing D-man, once again, just like Suter. But if you put Lyubushkin as a third pairing with about 14 minutes, I'm okay with that. I think that's actually a pretty good situation. Now, whether Lundkvist plays with him and you move Bichsel up, is Bichsel ready to take on a second line pairing? Or, and this will play itself out in camp, are you looking at a Lundkvist Lindell and then pair Bichsel and Lyubushkin and, kind of go from there?
Yeah, and well, the Lyubushkin third pairing would be ideal. I think the Stars at their best, Lyubushkin is their third defenseman, and I think that's why me and a lot of others were really critical of the move a summer ago, because we're like, you're paying Lyubushkin to play top 4 minutes, but he's not suited to play top 4 minutes, and it just really never worked out from the get-go. But I also understand you need guys, you need bodies to chew up some minutes. And it was interesting just looking at Lyubushkin, because I think a lot of us would agree he had a pretty decent regular season. I think a lot of us were happy with what we got. I just think as the playoffs wore along, eventually he became a healthy scratch, but maybe those high leverage minutes and the amount of minutes he played just started to catch up to him. And maybe the conditioning just wasn't quite there. I looked at his just average time on ice this past year in Dallas. It was just under 17 and a half minutes, which was the second most of his career. That's a lot of minutes you're asking out of Lyubushkin, and who we're sort of thinking as like he is that third pair that could maybe team up with a guy like Lyubushkin. Yeah, again, I think the pairings for the last 5 years have been really interesting here in Dallas. I would love to see Miro and Esa Lindell play together, of course. And I know we shared that earlier in the season when we saw that for a bit. And of course, Miro got hurt, just because you want to have a puck mover with Esa Lindell. Lindell and Lyubushkin is just a no-go for me. It gives me too many Lindell Hakanpää vibes. It gives me, Suter, Lindell vibes. It's not going to work. No matter how much they want to force feed it to us, it's just not the best pairing for Lindell. If you pair him with a guy like Miro or Harley, whoever you want it to be, it allows Lindell to thrive. And we saw also, look at Lindell and Lyubushkin last year, or just in the playoffs. That was a pairing that got picked on because their weaknesses are their mobility, their ability to move the puck up the ice too. So if you compare Harley with Lyubushkin, Lindell with Miro, I feel like it's a decent top 4. Now the X factor, of course, and that was one of the guys I wanted to touch on the blue line, Nils Lundkvist, right? Because he was just on pace last year. Felt like he was going to have a career year in some ways. Offensive production was a bit light. Maybe he gets some more opportunities here with Glenn Golitzin. Maybe there's a bit longer of a leash. I think it's fair to say just Pete DeBoer wasn't a big fan of Nils Lundkvist, although maybe Nils finally gained some respect this past season, because I think he was going to play maybe 70 games last year, maybe not, but 65. Like, he was on pace to kind of get around that.
Yeah, he had
that number.
39 games when he was injured. A lot of people don't remember that, but I mean, he was playing over Dumba. He was
Yeah.
playing over other players. He won that starting position
Mhm.
based on his play during the preseason.
Yeah, and the worst part was the question that we really had for Lundkvist was, okay, what was he going to be in the playoffs? We didn't get to see that because of the injury, which really, really stinks because maybe if he's a guy that played 14 minutes or maybe he played anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes last year in the postseason, and we're thinking, wow, like what a step for Nils Lundkvist, who could play like 2 shifts a period a year ago. Now they're allowed to play like 12 minutes. Okay, like that maybe we're thinking about this whole defensive situation a lot differently. So again, can we see that other step with Niels? And I'm really fascinated to see how Glenn Gulletson feels about him because we all know what maybe Jim Nill thought about him and what he could be. We never really maybe saw the full potential of Neil under Pete DeBoer. So Gulletson, and two, it just feels like with Bischel, you got a stable third pairing there with Bischel and whoever, whether it's Petrovic too, if you needed to bring him back up. So the Stars do have some decent depth. It doesn't have, I would say, a ton of quality, but it has quantity, and I think the Stars can roll with that into this next season.
So one of the interesting things, we talk about Lundkvist going down after 39 games. What could have been Liam Bischel. So 38 regular season games, 18 playoff games. So when you think about that, that's only 56 games. So he's basically, a little bit over 3/4 of a season there as far as a full actual season, and that's counting playoffs. So there is a learning curve, and I think one of those learning curves for Bischel, if I put Liam Bischel on the second line, one of my concerns, physicality, not a concern. Time in the penalty box, concern.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing that maybe the coaching staff will preach as far as to move up as far as being a top 4 D-men in this league. You can be physical, but you have to stay out of the penalty box.
And Niels needed that learning curve too, and he's a completely different style player than Liam Bischel. I think that's pretty obvious, but the season prior where Niels was kind of got that opportunity to play right off the bat, and he found himself in the penalty box a lot, and then we were back to the healthy scratch situation. And I think Pete DeBoer, maybe somebody else was quoted saying you have to learn to defend at the NHL level without taking penalties, and that can be a bit of a concern with Bischel. And the great thing about last season too for Bischel, he did get those games under his belt. And there were some rookie moments, right? I think there was parts of his game where maybe he was turning his hips too quickly. He would commit to a forward coming down the wall, and then he would get beat inside. And that just comes with the learning curve of the NHL level. Like the forwards move a lot faster. You can't just anticipate. You have to react. And sometimes if you anticipate, these NHL guys can make you look silly in a hurry. And he had some of those moments, but the great thing about Bischel, you know what you're going to get in that package, the physicality. Him and Niels could be really interesting, just kind of like fire and ice there. You get a guy, again, kind of like a puck mover. Bischel probably underrated in that area of his game as well. Look, I really am a big fan of Niels. I know, like last summer, I'm done on this whole dilemma with him, but I feel like I'm ready to get back on the hype train a bit with a new coaching staff, or at least a new head coach, and what he could potentially be. Because yes, if you get a full season, like 82 games from each Bischel and Lundkvist. That's just more room for them to grow. And Lundkvist has passed that kind of 250 game mark in his career, which is always kind of like the mark you hit where you finally learn how to be a defenseman in the NHL. It was always kind of the rule of thumb. So he gets some more time under his belt. And I think right off the rip, he's going to have an opportunity to win a job and play some heavy minutes for Dallas. It's gonna be fascinating with them too, because it looks like right now like it could be Bischel and Lundkvist. So what a pairing that could potentially be.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of times the coaching staff, and that's my next X factor. And we don't really think about this as an X factor, but there could be a completely new system that we are not taking into account for these Dallas Stars. The power play probably will look different. You have new ideas coming from Nazardine and Neil Graham. Now, the background for those that don't know, this is not a slight on Pete DeBoer, but it was Pete DeBoer's way. And, that's fine. But Nazardine ran the defensive scheme that Pete DeBoer wanted. And the power play, Steve Spott ran the power play how Pete DeBoer wanted. And I just say that Pete DeBoer has the skins on the wall as far as every place he goes, he takes them to new levels. Hasn't gone over the top, but we need to give him credit there. But now you have a coach coming in that has made it abundantly clear, Joey, that this is a team effort as far as the coaching staff. And that's going to be fascinating as far as Gulutzan letting Nazardine cook, because we just mentioned defensively. Maybe there's a few things that Nazardine is going to throw in that he had in New Jersey that we didn't necessarily see. And on the power play situation, Neil Graham's going to come in with some ideas, and that's going to pair with the effective power play that Edmonton had. Now, people can go back and they can say, well, Edmonton, of course, McDavid, Draisaitl. When you look at the analytics, see how much that Edmonton power play improved under Glenn Gulutzan. And how much Connor McDavid and Liam Draisaitl enjoyed teaming up with Glenn Gulutzan. So that's my next X factor, because we could see stylistically a different Dallas Stars team that we haven't seen for the past 3 years.
Yeah, and to just hammer home your point on the Edmonton power play, the year prior before Gulutzan got there, they were the worst power play in the league. And Gulutzan took it to one of the best and, of course, most deathly afraid of power plays in the entire NHL. It's butt clinching time when you watch that Edmonton power play against your team. And the Stars, of course, got a taste of that the last few seasons. And Gulutzan has made it abundantly clear. I've read some fantastic articles about Glenn Gulutzan on The Athletic too. I really encourage people to go out and find them, because it talks about what Gulutzan has learned, and he's made it abundantly clear he is going to tailor whatever system is going to fit the roster. He's going to examine what the Stars have, the personnel they have, and try to fit a system that is going to suit the power play, going to suit the penalty kill, of course, suit the 5-on-5 game as well. Also heard something too, which I found a bit fascinating, that the Stars sort of changed their defensive system last season, kind of in the middle of the year. Whereas we know they always kind of played that man-on-man, and they would kind of kill plays in the corner. I read something. I'm kind of kicking myself. I can't remember, but they kind of switched to kind of like a hybrid system, and it really, it was kind of interesting that the Stars did that sort of in the middle of the year. Maybe that was because of the personnel they had, but yes, but that's besides the point. Again, Gulutzan is going to tailor this system to fit Dallas, and I'm really fascinated to see where, with Connor McDavid, they kind of used him as a roamer on that Edmonton power play. If you recall, just any of the games the Stars played against him, like McDavid moves around, like he's circling the net a lot. He's circling different spots. I'm fascinated to see maybe Mikko Rantanen gets a shot at kind of being that McDavid. Maybe he moves around a bit more instead of kind of hanging over in that right circle. But yes, what is this coaching staff going to add? I think you make a great point, right? Like it's a collaborative effort. And he made that really clear in that introductory press conference. Like, we have great coaches. We're going to do this with Neil Graham. We're do it with Nazardine. We're going to have this collaborative process to make the Stars better, or at least, kind of improve on what they have. I think it sort of goes back to like Gulutzan's being handed a Mercedes, like just don't run it into the road on 75. Don't run it into the roadblock there. Just keep it simple. But it's going to be really, really intriguing. And I've kind of talked myself into Gulutzan too. The more I've read about him, I'm kind of fired up to about what he can potentially bring. And Neil Graham now being added to the bench. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think a lot of us kind of perked our eyes up at this when Goldson said, just can we make them a smidge more physical throughout the year? Can we bump that up? Like, that's something I think that was music to all Stars fans' ears. Can they be a little bit more physical so they're ready, more importantly, come playoff game or come playoff time to be able to implement that when you really need it, instead of, the quote we said, well, we're not that team. Well, you need to be that team.
Well, one of the things that I enjoy about Joey's podcast and I enjoy about Spits and Suds is you guys are involved as far as listeners. Love talking to you guys online. So I put it out on social media and some of you guys responded with your X factors. Alex Panhand says, Gavin, your guy's Nils. I love how it's my guy now.
Yeah.
Say something positive. It's like everyone thinks I have a man crush on Colin Blackwell, which I do, by the way.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah, totally,
you could have worse. You could have worse guys. So that's not.
I mean, I just think, he adds a lot. So my guy Nils, so if he does well, I guess he is my guy, is the X factor for the D-core and the whole team. How he goes determines what we have to do in season with the roster. He shapes everything. So I thought that was, interesting. Let's see. What else did we have? Eden Shadlow, always a big listener. For me, an X factor is the schedule. Dallas travels more than any other team just about, and their schedule is brutal in places this season. Wow. What a great X factor by Eden.
Love that.
Now, in February is the Olympic break. They have 4 home games, so they won't travel at all in the month of February. But brutal. I think I counted up, Joey, back and forth. So you're going back to the central time zone, 9 time changes in the month of January alone. It is a tough road. Now, they do have some opportunities in the schedule where they have nice home stretches, but at the same time, they have some tough ones. So great point by Eden. That's a interest, because to me, I did a show on the schedule, and I know you did as well. And I had January as the determining factor of where this Stars season is going to unfold.
I think you could, that's a great one too. Their longest road trips in there. And you mentioned sort of that cross country road trip. And that was a factor last year, all the travel, if you included Finland going over there, that was a lot of travel for Dallas. And they had that condensed schedule because they went and played in the NHL Global Series. Maybe it didn't have as much of an effect as maybe we were thinking, just because, maybe we're not giving enough credit. Maybe the Stars did just slow down in that series against Edmonton as well. I think you can make the case a really big X factor in the schedule. I'm telling you, it's that first month. I think it's a really tough schedule to open up the year. You got Winnipeg, Colorado, Minnesota, Vancouver, St. Louis, LA. I think 8 of the first 10 games are playoff teams from a year ago, or just teams that were really on the bubble. And Nashville can't be as worse as they were last year, can they, Gavin? You would think they're going to be better, but that too, and we've seen, if you get off to slow starts, you can put yourself behind the 8 ball really, really quickly. So the Stars are going to have to be ready to rock and roll right away with the new coaching staff and kind of implementing all the new systems. So that first 20 games, I think, is going to be a real good benchmark for Dallas. See maybe how they're coming along with Golitzin as a new head coach. Is it working out? Because if the Stars go, 3-7 to open up the year, we're thinking, oh my goodness, this could not have gone worse after what we saw the last couple of seasons. And then you're going to get the people that did not like the Golitzin hire right away. They're going to be very, very loud on the different platforms where Stars fans exist.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, Michael says Wyatt Johnston and Mavrik Bourque. To me, it's simple. If this is our roster, Wyatt has to be a consistent star. We can't have last year's playoff Wyatt and win the cup. We need the kid that was just paid $8 million a year. Mavrik is my number 2. His skills have to shine, and he needs to become a threat.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of touched on Bourque, but I think we share a lot of the same sentiments on Johnston, just because he kind of went away from what we saw. He was been the guy that kind of just in the big moments, he shows up. I always think back to his rookie year when Dallas was down 2-0 against Vegas, and he scored the overtime winner in Game 3. Just a must goal or a must win for Dallas, and boom, they claw their way back to win that series. The Seattle Game 7, of course, he had the game winner. It's easy to forget just because Mikko went crazy in that Game 7 against Colorado, but Wyatt did have the game winner there on the power play. I would like to see consistency, right? Because we've seen he's had great years, but there's been slumps kind of in the middle of the year where he has those 15 to 20 game stretches, and you're like, he's got 2 goals and maybe 6 assists. If he can have like an 82 game season where it's just really consistent throughout, you're gonna be like, okay, this is the guy we thought who he was. And I think you also have to take into account too, like Wyatt Johnston wasn't coming into this last playoff guy as kind of like, oh, this is just like an unknown guy. Like he's starting to be circled, I think, on some teams, like when they're doing pre-scouts. Like, hey, we can't just let 53 destroy us now. I know he's their third line center or whatever, but he's being circled. So that with some of his success comes more attention. Now he has to adapt and be able to find some solutions there.
So Eden also brings up a large number of the players will be going to the Olympics. And I do think that's an interesting X factor because, Joey, you mentioned the road trip over to Finland last year and how it could have taken a toll. Granted, Florida also went on that road trip and they ended the season pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. But when you look at the Olympic break, I mean, you're looking at Heiskanen, Lindell, Harley likely after his performance. So there's 3, Ottinger, and
Rope.
And Rope.
Yeah, so that's 6. Mm-hmm. And so, Robo, I think is an opportunity. Right? He's a potential, so that could be potentially 7. That's a lot of guys.
That's a lot of guys going to the Olympics. So I mean, we'll see about that, but I think that's a really good follow up. Gold star for Eden today on the podcast. Andrew Buck, Mavrik Bourque, Nils Lundkvist, and Liam Bishop will determine if it's a good season or a great season. I'm also curious who the new coaching staff plays on the wings with Johnston this year. So there certainly is going to be a decision. One center is going to move to the left wing.
That's why I brought up earlier, Gavin, does Johnston move to the wing so they can kind of really, I guess, front load the top 6. And that way, you don't have as much depth down the middle. I know, I would love for Johnston to play center. Like you want to have strength down the middle. Maybe that's why they thought, let's go out and get Faksa. It's a guy that we kind of understand who he is, and he can just kind of pencil him in on that 4th line. And then maybe Steele can jump in to be your 3rd line center if you move Johnston up. But the wings are just so interesting because I just think it's going to be a hodgepodge with Beck. Ritskovian, is he going to be a guy from the AHL? Maybe he gets a shot. Blackwell as well. Yeah, I can go a million different directions. I'm curious to hear your take on that.
Well, I also think it's very interesting. Like, are we close to a positionless sport?
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, we have D-men that are pinching now, and more than ever. Quite common to see Harley, over toward the net. We saw that a couple times in overtime. So he does a really good job deciding when to go in, when not to go in. But yeah, I think that moving a center over to the left wing, big picture, might not be that big of a deal. It's old school would have you have your center and your 2 wings, but now I think it's interchangeable parts. And we see that primarily on the faceoff circle where teams now have at least 2 or 3 players on the ice that can take a draw. In the old days, if the center got kicked out, it's like, oh, they're going to lose that draw.
Yeah. Well, and I think this goes back to the discussion we had with Jamie Benn too. Like where does he fit in? Where is he on this lineup? Is he going to play with Duchesne and Sagan? Is that something they want to try? Is he going to play with Johnston and Bourque? Is he just going to play on that 4th line? How many minutes a night is he going? Is he just going to be like a 4th line checker? He made that comment with Wayne Gretzky, right? Where he's like, I'm just like a 4th line checker, and that's like cool and all, but I guess again, they're paying him $1 million with some bonuses, so it's a lot different than if he was playing 12 minutes a night and he was getting paid $9 something million. But what is he going to be? Is he a guy that can play 14 minutes a night, or is he more somebody that's closer to 12?
Yeah. And Justin says, whoever steps into the top 6 left wing role, Johnston, Duchesne, Steele, maybe Hintz. For D, it would be Harley and Lindell. Need someone to step up so Miro doesn't play 28 plus minutes a night and gas out on a playoff run. Fascinating. And I think that's another reason why you move either Harley or Heiskanen down to the second pairing.
Yeah.
I don't want it. On the power play, well, they usually play a 1D power play anyway, but offensive, it's in the offensive zone. Sure, put them both out there real quick. But I
Yeah.
mean, I am a big proponent and let's spread the wealth a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. You have to. And as much as Miro and Harley look really good together, they're good players. they're great players. They're just
Yeah.
going to figure it out. But with what the Stars have depth wise, you have to spread the wealth a bit. So you split them up. I would be curious to see, you mentioned the power play, because I don't think we really ever saw that unless maybe it was towards the end of a power play, like 5 seconds ago, like 5 seconds to go in the man advantage. Like maybe if Goldson wants to mess around with Miro and Harley on the power play, just because I've talked about this quite a bit on Locked On Stars. They go about the power play completely differently. In my opinion, like Harley's like, he's looking to score. He's looking to shoot. He's looking to score in a lot of ways. I know he's still having to make reads. He's facilitating, but as a power play quarterback, he's looking to put the puck on net and try to score. Miro is a facilitator. Yes, he's trying to get shots through, but he's more of a puck mover. He's trying to get it in the hands of a guy like Robertson or Rantanen. So with Harley and Miro, potentially you could trot them out there with Rantanen, Robo, maybe Rope. Like, how would that look with 2 defensemen? It's not really, it would be a bit old school, I guess. You don't really see 2 defensemen anymore. It's always just the one. You load up your power plays. But, I think there's a real potential. Maybe Robo's not on your first power play, just because maybe Rantanen takes over that job, and then Robo can be on your second. So you're like, wow, Robo on your second power play, like that's pretty good. And we've kind of thought highly of the Stars special teams recently just because of that depth. So it'll just be it'll be an awesome situation the Stars have going into this year, even with some of the departures. And Glenn Goldson's going to have, he doesn't have Draisaitl McDavid, but he has some weapons to work with.
Yeah, 2 honorable mentions for X factors before we go, because some people might say, well, you didn't get to these guys, is Oscar Beck, Radek Faksa. I think it is what it is. Defensive forwards. I would love to see Beck take the next step. I don't know if it's there. And I like the player a lot, Joey. It's just tough for me for a guy that big. He doesn't play as big as his size is, which is kind of fascinating. Had some really, really good moments this season. I think he was consistent and he was fine, but I don't know if Oscar Beck is what it is, or is he's going to take the next step. Faksa, say what you will. And there's an argument to be made that face-offs, how important are they really? I still find value in them. Analytically might say different, because to me, face-offs equal puck possession. But at the same time, I think Fox is decent. I thought there maybe was a better need on the team as far as picking somebody else up. So those 2 could be an X factor. I think defensive depth, Petrovic, and obviously the Dumba trade. But I think that defenseman, I think he's going to start with the Texas Stars. I think Petrovic's going to be your 7th defenseman. So that could be an X factor as well. If there's an injury, I think Petrovic has earned a place on this roster.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the Beck Fox situation, really for me, it just comes down to the uses of resources and the money. I don't understand why you would go out to get Fox. Like, you have Foxa. His name is Oscar Beck. He's the same exact player. And maybe Beck's potential as an offensive threat isn't as high as Radek Faksa was at one point, maybe in his career. But you're not going to be asking Faksa to do that anyways at this point. And I can't get over Jim Nils saying we missed Radek Faksa last season. And I get what he's trying to. He's trying to pump the tires a bit, because I just can't remember a time when I'm watching the Stars get dismantled by the Edmonton Oilers and be like, you know what, we're missing Radek Faksa. Like, that's not where my mind went when I first thought of who we're missing. So again, and I like Radek Faksa. It's not about the player. It's just that in today's NHL and the limited amount of resources the Stars had this year to make moves, that just seems like a move that didn't need to be made. But
do you think on free agency day, his agent sent the old tape versus the New York Islanders where Faksa made to me, the single greatest scoring move I had ever seen by a player, like, avoiding the check and sliding along the boards. That
and,
was to me like absolutely amazing.
and to be fair to Fox, he actually had a hell of a playoff series against Winnipeg. He was incredible. He would have had the game winner in that game 7. Like he should have had the game winner if they didn't collapse.
I could not believe when I looked up when I was looking up the stats compared, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Radek Faksa was pretty good in that series. Yeah.
He came down the left wing and just sniped Hellebuck. Although playoff Hellebuck, I don't know if that's even that impressive to be honest, but still like the best goaltender on the planet. And Radek Faksa looked like Robo coming down the wing. So
all right, let's end with this.
Anyways.
Then. Is this too many X factors? Because Sean and I were talking the other day, Sean Shapiro, and one of the things that, just came up was our initial top 3 in the Central. And I, mentioning these X factors today, kind of a good chunk of things need to come together for this Stars team.
I don't think you can have enough X factors, Gavin. And again, I think it depends. I think it depends on your definition of what an X factor could be. For your specific definition that you brought up at the beginning of the episode, yes, it's probably too much because you're asking like guys to have some career years, guys to really improve. But I still think the Stars, if you look at the roster as a whole, they have a good thing. I think they have a good core. And again, this still includes Jason Robertson. I know there's a lot of talk about him, but like he's under contract. The Stars are going to have him, it looks like, for a full season. And you get Mikko for a full 82, right? He doesn't have to make 2 moves in the middle of the year. I think that is kind of maybe an X factor as well. Like he's comfortable here now. I'm sure he's got a place in DFW, probably not here right now with it being 105 degrees every day, but he's going to be comfortable, hopefully. He's got his fins around him. Like that's another factor to be like, okay, like full year of Mikko is going to be thrilling. Get the 96 jerseys while you can, while they're hot. You can never have too many X factors. I'm not gonna rain on your parade today, Gavin.
Yeah. Well, when Brad Alberts puts another one of those tweets out that has the eye emojis, I'm not even gonna guess anymore.
Yeah, I'm tired of those now. No offense to Brad Albert, and no offense to the class of 2025 for the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame inductees. Ralph Strangis. Guy I looked up to growing up, wanted to be a play-by-play guy for sure. And Joe Duda, but I think he's under-delivered the past couple eyeball tweets. Okay, Gavin, you got to under promise, over-deliver, right? I think he's under-delivered a bit.
Well, the next time, because I got a couple of tweets and they said, Gavin, what does this mean? And I was like, well, clearly it's going to be the 3rd sweater release.
Yes.
And then it was the Hall of Fame. So next time it comes out, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm guessing it will be the sweater. The sweater has to come out at some point.
Yeah, they're supposed to get one, right? Or like all teams getting one, or is this just the year for Dallas? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm ready for New Jersey. Give me anything. Those reverse retros. Oh my, the blacks with the green kind of. Oh, I love those. So sweet.
Yeah, I was hoping that it was going to be like something similar to the Winter Classic.
Yeah,
really appreciated that D. Now, like one of the things that Sean pointed out that the Stars were really good at as far as the colors emanate on television. So therefore, the green sticks out. But I'll tell you, as I told Sean, when they did Dallas Stars night for the Texas Rangers, and they had that Stars logo with that red, white, and blue with the Texas flag.
Yes, I'm all on board.
That to me.
Well, if you remember too, they brought up the point when they were kind of doing the rebrand, like there was potential of thinking about maybe doing red, white, and blue, which I'm glad they stuck with green. 100% support that. It is different than really every other team in the DFW Metroplex that has blue to some degree. It's got red. But I'm right there with you. Just the font of kind of like I was just my girlfriend the other day too. I was like, I love the font of the Rangers. I love that font.
Yeah.
It just feels so Texas. Even if the Stars did something like that, where it's a bit more almost Western,
Yeah.
And I mean, you could just put whatever color you want on it. I'm gonna love it. But yeah, no, that's a good point with the Rangers
Like
crossover
the
there.
Allen American jerseys are that. They're
Yeah.
red, white, and blue, like Texas, and they're really sharp. So,
Mhm.
yeah, just random thoughts.
Yeah, well, I like your random thought, and it gives everybody an excuse to buy another jersey. So
Yeah.
I need a Rantanen jersey anyways, so I might as well get the new one that comes out. So I'm hoping it's going to be sweet. But the Stars do a great job usually. They usually hit the nail on the head. I wasn't a huge fan of the all whites back. They did that reverse retro. They looked better than they kind of played. I felt like, at least to the eye. Like then you saw them on TV, you're like, I can't even see these guys.
Yeah. And I mean, some people like the black and the white with just Dallas across the
Mhm.
front. I mean, maybe it's me. I'd love to see like a Fort Worth patch or
Yeah,
something,
why not?
you know, or a DFW that
Mhm.
signifies. And I understand Dallas and people outside of Dallas, when people say DFW, they're like, why do they have a patch of the airport? You know, I mean, like, that's what people think of DFW. But
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
my Fort Worth peeps who come in the train, you know, to the games and stuff, I
Yeah.
absolutely love,
Mhm.
you know, the support of Fort Worth. In fact, the history of Fort Worth with hockey is quite
Yes.
impressive.
No, it
So,
is, yeah.
you know, just a thought there. All right. You are the man. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for
Appreciate it.
joining us in this off-season edition. I think we laid down some X factors. It's so great. Where can people find you? As obviously, Locked On
Yes.
is a terrific podcast. Joey's doing episodes all of the time, so it's up to date. If something breaks, Joey's there for you, so you can find him at Locked On. It's Locked On Stars. Where else can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Joey the Jet 19. As you can see on the YouTube video here, or you can follow us on Locked On Stars, just like that on Twitter as well. I'm usually tweeting stuff out, reacting to stuff, and I appreciate the tire pump as always, Gavin. I love when we get to connect and just chop it up about Dallas Stars hockey. It's to be a lot of fun, and I know we'll get together more and more as the months go on, and hockey's just a couple months away. It's already right. We got
Yes.
training camp, all that good stuff. So we'll have plenty to discuss. And appreciate you having me on as always.
Of course. I mean, if I was really pumping your tires, the NAHL
Yes, sir.
broadcaster of the
Oh, well,
year,
appreciate that.
Joey
uh,
Erickson.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there you go.
yeah. I was able to get some hardware this past year, which
Oh,
I was very, very, very grateful for. It was voted on by my peers, so that it really did mean a lot. It truly is like I have a strong passion for doing play by play. It's like a craft at the end of the day. I work really, really hard to do it and to perfect it. And it was really nice to be recognized by others in the league, because we all know some of the issues and the struggles that we go through on buses, and it's not the most lavish and prettiest travel. But boy, I loved it so much, and we won a lot of games. I give a lot of credit to our team too. It makes my job a lot easier when the team is good, and they were winning a lot. So, but I appreciate that. Anyways, no more rambling. Appreciate it. You have a great day, Gavin.
all right. Thank you. That's Joey Erickson of Locked On Stars.